Hi everyone! Welcome back to Mom and Me Beauty. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today is a mom moment video and I will be showing you 7 of the best dupes that I have found of higher end brands, but I found them at the drugstore. So without further ado, let's get started. Before we get started, I just want to let you know that as I go through these products, I'm going to be showing you a picture of the products side by side, but then I'm also going to include the retail price of each product so that you know price-wise, money-wise, how they match up. The first dupe that I have to share with you is a primer of sorts. I used to rave about the Milk Makeup Blurring Stick as a primer for your pores, and it's still fantastic. Don't get me wrong. So this is the Milk Makeup Blur Stick. It really does fill in the pores. There's a ton of product in here. Like, I've owned this probably a year and a half now, and I don't think I've gone through half of it yet. So it's a really good product, but it's upwards of like $30 some odd. But I found that e.l.f. makes a blur stick now, a prep and blur stick of their own. Same kind of concept. It's a tube that you wind up, tons and tons of product in here. You press it into your pores, it fills in your pores, it blurs them out. I find that this works just as good as the Milk Makeup Stick, if not better. It's a fraction of the price. Word of warning though, I had to get the Prep and Blur Stick online because there's not an e.l.f. store close enough or locally that I can shop at. Every single time I order from e.l.f., it takes them at least 2 weeks, if not 3 weeks, to get me my order. So it's worth it, I think, in the end, to wait that long for it. It's so inexpensive, but I wish they would either put this out in the local stores like Target and, you know, Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, or the local drugstores, or at least bring me an e.l.f. store close enough that I can drive. e.l.f., if you're listening, please put one near Rochester, New York. The next dupe I have for you is foundation. One of my favorite higher end foundations is the Too Faced Born This Way foundation. It really makes your skin look so matte and flawless, and it lasts all day long. It really, I've worn this like 10 to 12 hours before, and at the end of the day, all I would have to do is maybe blot a little bit of the oils away, and then it looks fresh all over again. So this foundation is fantastic, but I have found that the Maybelline Superstay Full Coverage Foundation, this is relatively new. This is the matte one. It's just as good as the Too Faced. I can get 12 hours of wear out of this blot, and I could probably go another couple of hours. It's so good and so inexpensive compared to the Born This Way. Now, don't get me wrong. I do still reach for the Born This Way sometimes. The shades aren't exactly the same. So in Born This Way, I have the shade Snow, and in the Maybelline, it's number 112 Natural Ivory. So I feel like the Born This Way is a little bit lighter and has a little bit more pink undertones in it, like ever so slightly, than the Maybelline one. So the shade ranges or shades aren't exactly the same, but I feel like the Maybelline does just as good of a job as the Too Faced. It really doesn't break apart. Neither one breaks apart. It gives me a medium to full coverage for both of them, and they're both buildable if I want to go completely full coverage. So this is a really great dupe for the Too Faced. Next up is concealer. Both Em and I have been raving forever about the Tarte Shape Tape. I think this is so popular. You probably have it yourself. You know how it behaves. You know how much full coverage it gives you for those dark circles or any blemishes that you have on your face. But I have found, I'm sorry guys, that the Catrice Cosmetics Liquid Camouflage Concealer, high coverage concealer, is just as good, and as a benefit, it's waterproof. I know, I'm so sorry guys. It's so good. This is in the shade from Catrice, it's in the shade number 5, and in the Tarte Shape Tape, I have the shade Fair. There's a couple of things that I feel like the Catrice does better than the Tarte. Again, I'm really sorry guys, but I bought a backup of the Tarte without trying the Catrice long enough, so I will keep using my Tarte Shape Tape until it's gone. But I gotta tell you guys, after I use up my backup, all I'm gonna be doing is buying the Catrice as backups. So the Catrice concealer is not only waterproof, but it does not make my under eyes look so dry or cakey after a long time's wear. Now don't get me wrong, the Tarte Shape Tape, like this is no joke. It is so highly pigmented that you can put it on like a tiny little dot, blend it out with your beauty blender, and it makes your eyes look flawless. The problem comes when you put on powder. If you put on too much with the Tarte Shape Tape, it literally makes your under eyes look like the Sahara, no matter how well hydrated your under eye area is. You have to be super duper careful about how much setting powder you use to set this concealer. With the Catrice concealer, you don't have to be so careful about how much powder you put underneath. You can set it, and if you maybe use a little bit too much, it's okay. It's not gonna look so dry. So, like I said, they both have their place. I will continue to use the Tarte until it's gone, but I feel like the waterproof and the non-drying appearance of it beats the Tarte Shape Tape every time. One thing I will say about this is I have tried it in watery conditions. So I've been out in the rain with this, I've cried with this on, I've had like watery eyes from allergies with this on, and it doesn't budge, it stays put, it absolutely stays put. You have to remove it with soap and water or with makeup remover. So that's yet another good thing about this. Next dupe I have for you, the higher end, is the Laura Mercier Translucent Loose Setting Powder. And the dupe for this is the Coty Airspun Loose Face Powder. I originally had the Laura Mercier, I did not have the Airspun. This is phenomenal. It is such a good setting powder, and it is a cult favorite. A lot of people love it. The one good thing about this that the Coty Airspun doesn't have is this has no scent to it. You can put it on and it's not going to be overpowering in any way, shape, or form. So that's one great thing about the Laura Mercier that the Coty Airspun does not have. The Coty Airspun though, you get so much more product for your money, and it's much more affordable than the Laura Mercier. So the Laura Mercier full size, you get 29 grams. In the Airspun, you get 65 grams. So that's more than double you get in the Coty Airspun, and it's at a fraction of the price. Like I said, this has quite an intense scent to it. So if you're very sensitive to scents, I recommend you pass on the Coty Airspun. If you are not bothered by it, it smells a lot like baby powder. It is a phenomenal powder. It really does keep my oils under control for a lot longer than a lot of other loose setting powders. It also does not have a sifter on it, so just be aware of that. The Laura Mercier does have a sifter on it, so you have to open it very, very carefully and make sure that the powder doesn't go everywhere like it just did. Yep, I just did that, folks. Sure did. The Laura Mercier is a really great powder. It does lock in the makeup just slightly better than the Coty Airspun, but really there's hardly any difference, and you really have to put it through its paces in order to see any difference. I would prefer the Coty Airspun for every day, for days that I don't like have a special event to go to, or I feel like I'm not going to be sweating a whole lot. If it's just every day, I would reach for the Coty Airspun. But if it's a special occasion, or I'm going to be working out quite a bit or sweating a lot and I don't want my makeup to budge, I do tend to reach for the Laura Mercier. So very, very close dupes. Not exact, but pretty darn close. Next dupe I have for you is the Too Faced Chocolate Bar Palette on the higher end and the CoverGirl Chocoholic palette on the lower end. Emma and I did a video on Monday where I compared these two side by side in terms of the eye look. I will post that video up here in the corner for you so you can check it out, and in the description bar below if you would like to see it. And Emma duped the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette with the CoverGirl Peach Punch palette. So you can check that video out if you'd like to see some tutorials and our thoughts on those. However, the shades that are in the CoverGirl Chocoholic palette that appear also in the Too Faced palette, the chocolate bar palette, are incredibly close dupes of each other. You really can't tell the difference between the two. I will say though that the CoverGirl palette only has 8 shades, whereas the Too Faced palette has 14 shades, so you're not going to get every shade duped from the the Too Faced palette and the CoverGirl palette. Blendability is the same. I will say though that the CoverGirl shades are a little bit more pigmented per amount of powder, if that makes sense. So if you dip your brush into the CoverGirl palette, you're going to get quite a bit of powder, and when you go apply it onto your lid, the pigmentation is intense. If you dip your brush into the Too Faced palette, you may not get as much powder, and it's not going to show up as intensely on your lid as the CoverGirl. So you can build up the Too Faced, you don't need to build up the CoverGirl. The formulation's a little bit different, but the shades are dead on. It's so good. So if you need to have some more, like a wider range of darker colors or darker shades in your collection, definitely go for the CoverGirl. It's a lot more affordable than the Too Faced, but if you're looking for one palette that includes those dark shades you're looking for, but also some other shades that you can do like lid, inner corner highlight, your brow bone, I would suggest going for the Too Faced palette. One other dupe is the scent. Both of them have such an intense chocolate smell to them. I'm a chocolate girl, so I love the smell of these two palettes. It's really intense, really great. Again, if you're sensitive to scents, I would say pass on both of these because the scent really is intense when you open up the lid. The sixth dupe I have for you is also a dupe for a Too Faced palette. It's for the Too Faced Sweet Peach palette. Now I did a dupe video just solely on these two palettes. The dupe for it is the Sugar palette by Face Candy, which I got from shophush.com. I did a video specifically on these dupes where I put these two head to head. I will link that video also up here in the cards for you and in the description bar below if you'd like to check that out. I do a tutorial where I put the two of them head to head and see if you can find a difference between the two eyes. The shades on these two, oh my goodness people, they are spot on. You cannot get any closer with these shades. Really, every single shade that shows up in this Too Faced palette, every single one that shows up in the Too Faced palette, shows up in the Sugar palette by Face Candy. It's not going to be in the same spot as the Too Faced, so like you might find this peach right here down at the bottom in a different spot in the Sweet Peach palette, but the formulation, the pigmentation, the shade, oh my goodness, so good, so exact. I was like blown away when I put these two head to head in that video. It was so good. And again, fraction of the cost. If you're gonna go get the Too Faced palette solely for the scent, or maybe that's a deciding factor for you, unfortunately, the Sugar palette does not have any scent whatsoever to it. It doesn't smell like peaches or, you know, anything fruity. It's got no scent to it whatsoever. So if that's why you're going to buy the Too Faced palette, then I say go for it. Otherwise, if you're looking for just formulation, shade, and price are your deciding factors, check out shophush.com and get yourself one of these Sugar palettes by Face Candy. And my last and final dupe is also for another Too Faced product. So on the higher end, you have Too Faced Better Than Sex Mascara. On the drugstore end, you've got the Voluminous Lash Paradise Mascara. I am not going to kill this to death. I'm sure you've heard this time and time again, not only from me, but from other people that you may watch on YouTube, friends, family. So the Too Faced Mascara does lengthen your lashes, does give you some volume, but unfortunately it flakes. Even the waterproof version, because all I wear is waterproof mascara, even the waterproof version flakes on me. I feel like it just doesn't give me as much as the L'Oreal Lash Paradise Mascara. This mascara lengthens, stays put, gives me volume, holds a curl, everything you want a mascara to do, this does. I'm probably on my 4th or 5th tube of it by now. So I'm sorry, Too Faced, but L'Oreal outdid ya. And that is it for my dupe video. I hope that you really enjoy this type of video. I really like doing this because if I can save myself some money and ultimately save you some money, you better believe I'm gonna do it. I like watching these types of videos too, and I like getting hints and tips from you guys. So Let me know down in the comment section below, do you have any really good dupes that maybe I should give a try? Anytime I can dupe a product, you better believe I'm gonna do it. If you like this video, please make sure you give me a big thumbs up down below. It does really help us out. We do post 2 beauty videos a week. For those of you who are new here and may not know what we're about, we do post on Mondays with Mom and me, and on Thursdays is either Tea and Take with my daughter Emma or Mom Moment with me. We do have a emphasis on drugstore and more affordable brands, but we do like to use some higher brands as well. Make sure that you connect with us on Instagram under Mom and Me Beauty and with Emma under Emma_N_2004. Thank you again so very much for watching, and I can't wait to see you in our next Mom and Me video. Bye everyone!